Hey guys, this is Brent with Western Equipment, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to install the John Deere home maintenance kit on a 2020 John Deere E110. So let's get started. Before we get started, let's go over a few of the parts of the tools and things you're going to want to have around when performing this service. First of all, we're going to want to have our John Deere home maintenance kit, and within this kit for the E110, we're going to have our air filter, oil filter, fuel filter, single spark plug, as this is just going to be a one-cylinder engine, and our 2 quarts of oil. That will all come within that kit. Now, some of the tools and things you're going to want to have around are going to be such things as your drain pan, your funnel for replacing that oil, a few shop towels as we may make a mess when we're changing that oil in that fuel filter, also a pair of pliers, a small set of vice grips so you can pinch that fuel hose when changing the fuel filter. We've also got our spark plug gap gauge here. We've got our 19mm socket and our filter cap wrench so you can run those taking that filter off. We've also got our ratchet with our spark plug socket here. Now this is going to be a 5/8 socket that has some rubber down inside that'll help hold that spark plug snug when you're taking it off. And also, guys, get out that operator manual so you can check out those instructions and also those specs when you're performing this service. So from here, guys, we'll start with step 1 and we'll go start draining that oil. So step 1 here is going to be starting with getting the oil draining, which is going to be over here on the right hand side of the tractor, right in front of your drive pedals here. What you have is just a little hand twisting cap. Don't need any tools to do it. We're just going to give that a turn, and we'll go ahead and pull that out. And the reason why we go ahead and get this oil draining first, guys, is going to be so while that's draining, we can do a few other things. So also, as you see there, it is draining slow. So what we're going to do here is we're going to reach right up on top of the engine up here, and we're going to go ahead and take that cap loose there with our dipstick, and that's going to allow for that oil to drain just a little faster. So from there, guys, since we've got that draining, we'll go ahead and move to step 2 and start replacing that spark plug, as it's over here on the right side as well. Step 2 is going to be changing the spark plug, which is on the right hand side here, but also at the very front of the engine, as you can see right here. Now, the only thing we need to do before replacing that spark plug is making sure and checking the gap with our gap gauge here. Now, if you haven't used one of these, very simple tool, what we're going to do is it's going to tell us the space between this top electrode and the middle pin. And how it works is we're going to take the tool, we're going to start it over here on this edge, and there are numbers going around that tell you that gauge. So what we're going to do is start here on the small side and then just start to rotate it down the side of the tool there, and where you start to feel resistance is what tells you what the gap is of this plug. Now, for this particular tractor, this is to be gapped at 0.030. They come pre-gapped, but it's always a good idea to go ahead and check that before replacing your spark plug. Now, next thing is going to be reaching in here and taking loose our cap, and then we'll go ahead and take that ratchet and spark plug socket, and we'll just start to take this loose. All right, once you have the old one loose there, we'll go ahead and go back in with our new one. All right, and once you have that all the way in where you felt it get tight against the side of the engine, what we're going to do is we're going to go back on here with our ratchet and wrench and go about 1/4 to 1/2 turns to make sure we're snug. So I'd say right there is about perfect. And then we'll just go back on here with our cap. Make sure you hear it click in. And then from there, guys, we'll go ahead and move to the other side, the left-hand side, and start replacing that oil filter. Step 3, guys, is going to be replacing our oil filter. Now, before we do this, we're going to want to make sure and replace our cap on our oil drain on the other side. That way we just don't forget whenever we go to replace that oil or put the new oil into the engine. So just make sure you do that. Come over here to this side, and then we'll go ahead and start to replace this filter. First thing we'll do is take our cap style filter wrench here, make sure and get that pushed snug onto the machine there, and then go ahead and get our ratchet 19mm socket, and we'll go ahead and break that loose. And once you've got that loose enough there that you can turn it by hand, one thing that I would do, guys, is take a piece of that cardboard from your home maintenance kit and go ahead and take that and get it slid up underneath your filter there. And what that's going to do is help to funnel some of that spillage or some of that oil that's going to drain out from your filter from getting on your frame, help to kind of guide and direct it down into your oil pan there. So we'll just go ahead, spin that off by hand, and there you go. There you see that oil funneling down onto that cardboard. All right, now we've got the old filter off there. Just let that oil drain for just a second. Now here we'll want to get one of our new quarts of oil. Grab that and crack that open. That way we can get a little dip of that new fresh oil on our finger there, so we can get a coat there on the gasket of our new filter. Now, reason we want to do this is put a coat of this oil on there to make sure we get a good seal on the housing there on the engine. We also want to check and make sure that there's no remaining gasket from our old filter, which, as we can see, it's clean there. So we can move our piece of cardboard now, and we can go back on with our new filter. So go ahead and spin that on. Get that hand tight there against the engine, and then take your filter cap wrench here, guys, and get that put back on. We don't need to tighten this up just super tight, guys. We just need to get it turned enough as it will snug up over time. So we're just going to give it about a quarter turn here, right there. We'll call that good. And then that, guys, is all there is to replacing the oil filter. And from here, guys, we'll go step 4 and replace that air filter. Step 4 here, changing our air filter. Very easy job. We just have 2 hand twisting clips here. Just turn them into the unlock position there. Once you get that, you can take this cover off, and we'll just pull out the old filter and replace it with our new one. Now you'll see here we've got a little bit of an upgraded filter in that kit, but it will still be the right one. Just fit it in there just like so. And we're going to go back on here with our housing. Just like that. Get that pushed down in. Get our clip turned there and there. And that's all there is to replacing the air filter. So we'll go ahead and move to step 5 and replacing our fuel filter. Step 5 here, guys, is going to be replacing our fuel filter, tucked nicely right back here behind the engine. Now, first thing we're going to want to do is take our pliers here, get in and move these clips down and out of the way here. And one here on top. Okay, get those out of your way. And the next thing I would do is take that small pair of vice grips, go ahead and pinch this bottom hose so we don't have that fuel continuing to the filter there. Now the next part is definitely the fun part. Here's where we've got our twisting and turning of getting our filter here out of the hose. Okay, so got one side off of there, and then now working on our top side here. Okay, we've got that there. You got a little bit of fuel spillage, but not much. Now we need to make sure when we're going back on with our new filter that we're going back on the way that fuel travels. So you'll see here we have an arrow, and that's going to be fuel flowing from this side to the top. So we're going to want to go back on our tank side with the arrow facing up. So run that back down onto the hose there. Get that as flush to the bottom of that filter as you can. And same thing here on the top. Get that hose worked down there to the top of that filter. All right, then once we've got that on, we can release our vice grip there, take our pliers and run those clamps back up and back down here. And that is all it takes there on the fuel filter, guys. Now we'll go to our last step and we'll go and replace or refill our engine oil on the top side of the engine. Step 6, final step here, guys, is gonna be replacing our engine oil and then making sure and checking that level, making sure and reading that dipstick to where we know we have the right amount in there. Now this engine here holds 1.5 quarts, so in your kit you're gonna have 2 quarts. So we'll just start by pouring in our first quart. Now, like I said before, we wanna make sure that our oil drain is back on, our cap is back on right down here, which it is. We've got that filter on, we've got it good and snug. And so from here, we're just gonna fill it up with oil. So there's 1 quart in, and then we'll go in with another 1/2 quart here. And good thing is you'll be very easy to see when you get to that 1/2 quart, as you do have a sight gauge on the side of the bottle here. So I will show that in just a moment. And just a little more. All right, so right there, guys, we can now see on the side of our bottle, you'll see that mark right there at that halfway point. So we'll go ahead and put the lid back on this one, and we'll take our funnel out and replace our dipstick. Check and make sure that our oil level is correct. We'll just go back in, completely close that down. And we bring this out. It'll be a little hard to see, but what you've got here, guys, is you've got a couple of holes there in that dipstick. Just want to make sure that oil is definitely all the way up in between your bottom hole and top hole there. So if you're not sure, you know, go ahead and wipe that off. Go ahead and give that another check. Let that oil get all the way down in there. And then we'll go ahead and take that out. Now, a little hard to see there on video, but we've definitely got oil all the way in between that top and bottom hole. So we're good to go there. And that is your last and final step to servicing that engine. All right, guys, so that's it. Those are the step-by-step instructions on installing the John Deere home maintenance kit on a 2020 John Deere E110. Now, if you're watching this video and may need these parts, make sure to go check us out at west-equip.com/parts, and also check for a link in the description below where you can go directly to get this kit from me. And also, guys, if this video helped you out, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as that helps us out as well. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.